Welcome back to the Fit and Funded YouTube channel. So, last week I uploaded and took a trade on my long on New Zealand JPY. As you can see, my macro idea and trend, I was looking for longs, but the market ended up reversing on me and continued to the downside. However, as I use a negative risk to reward ratio and have a smaller take profit, I was still able to make money, and price ended up hitting my take profit several times before the market reversed. So, in this video, I'm going to show you the power of using a negative risk to reward ratio and why smaller consistent wins may be more beneficial than traditional 1 to 2s and 1 to 3s risk to reward ratios. Let's get into it. So to start the video, I'm going to define and explain what I mean by a risk to reward ratio, negative risk to reward ratio. So I'll put a example long position down on my chart. As you can see, TradingView defaults to a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. This means if I risk $10, I will also make $10 profit, right? However, what I mean by a negative risk to reward ratio is this. So if I'm still risking the same $10, I might take profit of $5, or what I trade at the moment, 0.25, so $2.50. This is a negative risk to reward ratio. So each time my trades take profit, it's less than what I risk. So why do I do this? So 2 reasons to keep it simple is, firstly, I think it's a lot easier and a lot more time efficient to call a smaller move in the market, like a 0.25 risk to reward ratio and like 9 pips versus, for example, the traditional 1 to 2 ratio, which would be a 72.8 pip move. So to do this, your TA and trade idea has to be nearly perfect, and you have to be exactly right about the direction of the market and where the Forex pair is going and where it will reverse. However, with a negative risk to reward ratio, you don't have to be. As you can see on the screen, this is a trade I took last week. I uploaded a video to the channel explaining my strategy and why I actually longed from this Fibonacci level. Now that a week has passed, as you can see, overall, my long bias was incorrect and the market actually ended up reversing on me. However, as I have a smaller take profit and use a negative risk to reward ratio, I was still able to make money, profit, and grow my FTMO account challenge. However, if I was targeting, let's just do it up to a swing high, a 1.6 ratio, this trade would have been a loser. So in my opinion, it's a lot easier to call, let's say, a 6 pip move versus a 40 pip move. Your TA has to be detailed, correct, and advanced to consistently call these big moves and have a higher risk to reward ratio. However, with a negative risk to reward ratio, we're just looking for a quick bounce from an area of confluence. So I'll quickly explain why this was an area of confluence. We had bullish market structure on the 4 hour with a well-respected support and resistance zone with multiple touches. We also had a bullish range created with a bullish break of market structure right there as well. And we also had a fair value gap. So bullish market structure, a bullish break of market structure, a well-respected support and resistance zone, a fair value gap, and the Fibonacci level 61.8%. So that's four confidences lining up to get a 6 pip bounce. So I find by doing this, over time, you win very consistently, then you lose. And your macro idea of the market doesn't have to be exactly right. So calling this move 40 pips is a lot harder than calling a 0.25, for example, 6 pips. That's the first reason why I trade a negative risk to reward ratio. My TA, it's easy, it's simple, it's a small move. I win more consistently than I lose, and those wins compound over time. It's very powerful versus trying to call and be correct 100% of the time and have a really big take profit and have detailed analysis in order to do this. So, my next reason why I trade a negative risk to reward ratio is it helps my psychology. So when I'm going through my charts and I'm doing my technical analysis, pulling the trades, I know I'm going to win a lot more than I lose. The probabilities are in my favor. And that just helps me. It gives me confidence in my strategy, it gives me confidence in my abilities, and it gives me the confidence to set a limit order and walk away and let it play out. Because I know my small wins, they compound over time, they give me a buffer to handle a loss, and more likely than not, the trade will be a winner. Especially when I'm trading on daily levels, 4-hour levels, and I have 3 to 5 confidences in my favor. So, just to demonstrate this in the fact that you don't have to be right, this was a day trade I had marked up on AUD CAD. Let's give you some context. We were bullish. We have a support and resistance zone and a fair value gap, and the daily 50 EMA is lining up with my entrance. So I do have this limit set for a kind of swing trade in a long, right? However, down in the lower time frames, we had some bearish market structure and a bearish break here. So I was looking for shorts. However, I was a little bit concerned with all these equal highs, so I never took this trade live. I just wanted to do a bit of a future test and see. As you can see, the trade did end up blowing through the stop loss to take out these highs and starting to trend down potentially. However, if I drop down maybe to the 5 minute, let's see. Yeah. So price came up, hit my entrance, had a bit of a reaction, hit my take profit, then continued on. So you don't even have to be overall 100% right about the direction and bias of the market. You just need to pick an area of confidence where you can call a smaller move, make your money, go in and go out. And that's the power of negative risk to reward. The smaller consistent wins build up over time, and they help your psychology as well. Now, if you can't handle, negative risk to reward and find a positive risk to reward works better for your psychology, that's great. I'm not trying to force you to trade a negative risk to reward ratio. I'm just documenting my journey and how and why I find the negative risk to rewards to be a powerful tool in forex trading, and how consistent wins over time compound and help my psychology. Thank you for watching.